So here's the thing. He was saying that once he retires on active duty, he's a commander. So he's an O5. It goes all the way to O10. He's a senior officer and he's going to pull 32, 34 years in the military. So if you look at the retirement, he's already over 75%. Because actually, if he pulled the calculator, let's say he did 34 years, 34 times 2.5, that's 85% of his retirement he would get. So let's say his base pay alone is 10 G's. You would do that times 0.85 and he would rack in for his pension $8,500 a month. But that's taxed, right? So times 12, he'd pull over 100 grand in retirement just from his pension. That is taxed though, the whole thing. But his BAH, his housing allowance, his food allowance go away. However, he will have disability claims, and he should actually. And it's not a knock to him. He just, a lot of us get injured earlier in our career and we just never say anything because we want to continue our naval or military service. Like for me, with some of the injuries that air traffic controllers can incur, the flight surgeon might say, yeah, this is a limiting factor and you shouldn't be controlling planes. But in our head, we're
You mean
like
on your eyes?
no, nothing like that, because we know that's a limiting factor. You ain't coming in with an eyeball missing and being like, yeah, I got it. No, we're not. Us as leadership, us as air traffic controllers, we would never allow somebody to do that. But like, okay, Wesley flew us in my Jetta back in 2017, May 4th. Never forget it. And when he turned the corner at 45 miles an hour, a 90-degree turn, because he confused the brake and the clutch pedal. And he'd driven the car a lot of times before. I took him driving a lot, but he just confused it, right? Instead of going past the turn, he turned. Anyway, we power slid around this old couple. I felt so bad for them. Hit the curve. Doom, 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 doom. We were flipping, right? And so when we landed, we were flipping to the left. When we landed, I remember my arm was up here like this. It was like slow motion. I was like, this really does happen in slow motion. I was thinking this. This really does happen in slow motion. Oh something my like God. This is true. God, just make the car stop. Because I was like, if we're actually flipping, then there should be a dent in the bam. I saw the roof dent in, and I was like, oh man, we done messed up. And so I was like, Lord, just stop the car. Just stop the car. The car lands. Boom, like this. We land hitting his side first, the left side, because he was driving. And my arm goes like this, and it jams into my rib. Okay, so ooh. I feel a pain, very dull, like a 1. I felt it when we slammed like that, and I was like, oh, that's going to leave a bruise. And if I'm bruising, there's a problem, right? And welcome to the Blacksmith Podcast, by the way. It's Saturday, and we are on our financial topics. Just eclipsed 350 subscribers on YouTube. I don't know how many, 95 followers on TikTok. I don't know how many on Instagram, but we're on Twitch. We're on Fanbase. We're on everything. Just look up the Blacksmith Podcast, and this is for the Discord. On Saturday, and this is a financial topic. I'm just telling a story and getting there. So I'm your host, Will B, here at the Blacksmith Podcast, or Blacksmith Enterprises, as I like to call it. I am the CEO and chairman. But you know what? One of my guys, my brothers, he's on right now, and we're just discussing a topic for what to do after retirement in the military if you couldn't tell. So you just walked into the conversation. I let it go for about 4 minutes before the intro. And you know what? I'm actually going to timestamp this so it's easier. It's more palatable while it's on this. So I'll say intro and then I'll say intro convo, and then I'll do intro at about 4 minutes. All right. So I will timestamp these, and I'm trying to be better at this so you guys can actually like flip through the parts that you want, because I realize an hour-long conversation is not without chapters. No bueno. Anyway, so my arm jammed into my rib, my elbow like this when we landed. And so I looked at my forearm, and I actually still have the dark marks right here on my forearm. Darn it. I don't know if you can see that. Hold on. Where is it? Right here. Can you camera pick this up? Maybe not. It's not really showing too well, but I have a couple. My tried. Oh shoot! I hit for how long? All right. What I was saying is these dark spots on my arm right here. This was all exposed flesh. Yeah, I messed around and touched the top of the mic. This was all exposed flesh. It took all of the layers of skin off, but it wasn't the whole forearm. It was just patchy, like here, 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 here. And some of them were smaller, some of them were bigger. And then I had pieces of glass, little glass shards in my arm. And most of them you can just brush off. So when I landed, long story short, I went to the ER. They said you have a bruised rib, and I could feel it swelling right away. But it took a while to actually swell to the point where it was debilitating. So I had to get up early the next morning, go see the flight surgeon, and he told me that I couldn't control for a while. He said, nope, here's your grounding chit. You can't control aircraft. And I was like, why not? And I said, I'm fine. And he said, you're not fine. He said, oh yeah? Imagine this was my rib. This is my protein shake, by the way. He goes like this, and and he was like, you're not fine. See that? He said, I'm also watching how you're breathing. It's like sharp breaths, but they're shallow breaths. And you're going to have to breathe through the pain, because that's how you'll develop pneumonia. If you don't utilize your whole lung, then the bottom of your lung will stay uninflated, and it'll start to build up moisture and bacteria. And that's how you get pneumonia. And so I was like, ow. So he wouldn't let me control aircraft. So a lot of us, now that's an extreme situation where you can't control, but a bruised rib, let's say it didn't happen from a car crash and you just bumped into your dresser drawer and you got a rib bruising. Some of us will just go to work and just, oh man, that sucks. Hey, Seahawk 420 via the channel, make a tower transition, or Seahawk 420 North Island Tower via the channel, pad 3, wind calm, cleared the land. Traffic, opposite direction is an H60, 300 feet. You can do the job, right? And then Seahawk 420 cleared the land, pad 3, we'll be looking for that traffic. Seahawk 420, that traffic's passing the fuel farm. Seahawk 420 got eyes on that traffic. Bullet 52, opposite direction traffic is an H60, 200 feet. Just entering the mouth of the channel. Bullet 52, got that traffic in sight. See, you can do the air traffic control, but you might be holding your rib the whole time, right? And so a lot of times we do not go to medical and report these things because he's a pilot, the commander I was talking about in the beginning, because they might not let him fly. And you might say, yeah, it's unsafe to let you fly, but you're going to do great things for the military, but If you go to medical and you're grounded, you can't do those great things. And so we go at the end of our careers, and sometimes it's looked at as, oh yeah, you got all these problems now because you want the VA money. No, there are some people that do that stuff, but I'm going to tell you, if you saw the average sailor, and I'm just going to deal with sailors because that's who I'm used to, but well, I could deal with Marines too because I see it, because they deploy on some of our ships too, all the time. It's lesser known, I guess, to the public, but they are Department of the Navy. There's no Department of the Marines. So when we say we have 4 branches, sure. But really, when you do have Marines, you have Navy, you have Army, you have Air Force. But when you talk about departments, there's no Department of the Marines. Their funding is Department of the Navy, because they've always been. So when you deal with the average sailor, when out of a 20-year career, 14 of those years are going to be on the ship or sea duty. And only 6 of them are going to be shore duty. So you'll have, a lot of them will have like a 5-year sea, 3-year shore rotation. Now, let's say they successfully complete one of those. They have 8 years in the military. They have 5 years at sea on a ship. They have 3 years on shore, and they're already going back to the ship for another 5 years. So look at right there. Out of 8 years, what did they get? 3 years shore time. Now double it. Now they have 16 years in. They have 10 years on the ship. They have 6 years on shore. And guess what? They're going back to sea to finish to do their next tour. And if they retire at 20 years, they're going to finish that 20 years on the ship. And they may have to extend to 21 years to do the whole sea tour. So think about it this way. When they come up off that ship, their knees are shot because they're walking on steel grates, steel stairs, steel everything on those ships. There's no padding on the floors. You are walking on steel. In the mess decks, there's epoxy floors so they can mop it and clean the food up. And that makes sense because you don't want to have water spills, juice spills, food spills all the time in the mess decks. So you don't want to have raw metal in mess decks because it'll rust, right? So we put epoxy on the floor so they can actually clean the floor. But and then in the berthins, same thing. We put epoxy in the berthins where we sleep because stuff like that. So it's more comfortable in there. But in the hangar bay where they're moving aircraft around on the flight deck, this is all steel. Going up and down ladder wells, there's no padding on those stairs. So you run up the stairs, you walk up the stairs, your knees are getting busted the entire time. Man, the number of sailors that come out of the Navy after 20 years and need knee replacements at the age of 42 or 38, it's insane. And the public doesn't know that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'll go all the way back to this commander. I digress. Let's say he's pulling $15,000 a month. He wants to be a JROTC instructor, right? He's a good dude. I love this guy. He's about to leave. And he said, let's say, shut it, chat, shut it. He said, let's say his active duty pay is $15,000, but that's with housing allowance, food allowance, and everything. What the school board, or if you go JROTC instructor, you now work for the state, right? So what the state does is they look at your active duty pay minus your pension. So let's say, like I said, he's gonna get 102 grand a year. But now let's divide this back to 12 so I can get the number. So they'll take, that's his active duty pay. They'll say minus $8,500 for just his base pay, right? And that will be his actual pay. That's what they'll pay him. That's how they do it. So they'll say minus 8,500. They'll pay him $6,500 a month. And I think they said some kind of way they will also plus up his pay to equal the food and housing allowance. So let's say that would be another 4 grand. So that'd be what they would pay him. So not bad, right? You're making that in retire. So you're making so you multiply this by 12. So you're making 126 grand a year from your state job, which, remember, IRAs, you can't transfer your TSP to this job because TSP is federal work. 403Bs are state, right? So you would start another 403B. So from the state, you're earning 126 grand. And then from your retirement in the military, you're earning 102. That's life-changing money right there. But look, it took an 18-year-old, right, 34 years to retire from the military and get the 102 every month. And let's say another year, 35 years, to get up to 228. Because that'll give them a full year of doing this, right? So let's look, 18 plus 35. You'd be 53 before you make this life-changing money. But look, you can do it. And this is a money show, right? This is a money about financial literacy. So we also have to talk about, listen, patience. But the whole time you're earning that money, you can be investing, you can be putting into your TSP and all of that kind of stuff. But what I was telling you, JT, before going all the way back, I could do this, right? But I've already decided my second chapter is not going to be this. I'm going to do motivational speaking, inspirational speaking, just talking realism. And I'm going to do it with the school district, but I'm going to also do it via this podcast. I'm going to teach financial literacy, and I'm going to also be a financial advisor. And I'm going to also, it's not just going to be the Blacksmith podcast. It's going to be Blacksmith Enterprises. We're doing animation. So Blacksmith Animation, we are going to, everything that's in here, we're going to pull it out and make it tangible. That's what we're going to do. And so that's, I've already decided. Now, could I do that state job and also do it? Sure. But it might be a more of a barrier to getting where we need to go versus a boon, so to speak. So anyway, anywho, moving on from that, because that was a long topic. I'll put switching gears. I'll figure out what we're gonna talk about. Senor, did you send me that link to the DMs so we can open that topic up? Nope, but you're chatting hurry up and digress. You need a clothesline. So switching topics, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I forgot to actually have this handy, so I'm going to open it up right now. And then, let's see, is it still showing my screen? It is. Good. Let's open this up. So there was some news this week, and there's actually a lot of news now that I have subscribed to. If you look, some of these companies that we're investing in have YouTube channels, right? And social media platforms. If you're not subscribed to those, you should be, in my humble opinion, because how are you going to follow the news about the companies that you know and love and trust enough with your investment, the money that you earn, and you're not following the news? I would not be okay with that. So think about it like that. You trust them with your investment. Watch this. You work roughly, let's just round it up because we know it's not exactly perfect. You work roughly a third of your life, right? Monday through Friday, you work 8 hours a day. That's 40 hours. Now, I know if you were to work all 7 days, that'd be 56, right? And that would be a true third of your life. But let's just, for argument's sake, you work a third of your life, because most people work up until they die, or up until they have to go to the nursing home, or they're so debilitated by, all of these ailments that they can't walk anymore and stuff like that, right? Most people walk up until they work up into the edge of their health. You work a long time, a third of your life. So what you're saying is when you give $10,000 to Palantir, you trust them with a third of your life, a third of your time it took to earn that money. Shouldn't that be precious enough to you to follow the news of Palantir? I don't know. Just Ed Sheeran thinking out loud. Maybe we found. All right, I'm gonna stop. And my voice is rough anyway. All right, so look at this. Palantir. So if you just go to Robinhood and you just scroll down far enough, you can find articles about your favorite companies. And we'll look at a few of them. But Senior, I would like that video you sent. Get off of my screen. All right. So right here, Palantir Technologies, AI momentum fuels stock surge. Now, you can look at all this stuff on the side and you can click into even more articles. They're going to keep trying to feed me stuff. Now, scroll it on down. Palantir Technologies has, let me see, y'all can see my screen. All right. Palantir Technologies has experienced a notable 8.52 increase in its stock price over the past week, driven by strong performance in the AI sector. Remember, AI is the new kid on the block. And okay, I know what that was. That was a signal. Oh, sorry. Send me the video that you sent in WhatsApp. Let me see. I don't have WhatsApp open. Y'all give me 1 second. The one you sent me, not the study career paths thing, the genius business idea drone thing. If you want me to go over it, that is. Because if I hit forward, it'll only let me forward it to WhatsApp and I can't hit share. So if you want me to go over that, just send it to me and I'll click on that. All right. So AI is the new kid on the block, right? And that new kid is garnering a lot of attention. Think of it in terms as the ground, right? I see it. Thank you. Think of it in terms of the ground, right? You planted a seed. That seed is in the ground. Now, the seed is down here, balled up. It's way down here because we want the root to start low. We also don't want birds and predators that dig at the surface, maybe this far down, to get it, right? So here's the ground level, and here's the seed, the top of my fish. Y'all see this, right? So now, this is AI when it first comes out and businesses get it. I was talking to a buddy of mine named Alex at the gym last week. He's also in here. He's not on the live, but he's in the Discord. And Alex was saying how the first iteration of AI was actually with car companies where they had a system where the faster you went, the higher the music turned up. And it was a setting. You could turn it on and off. And the slower you went, the lower the music went. Why? Because a lot of people drive with their windows down. And even if you don't, the faster you go, the more wind flows over your car and the more wind sound you're going to get coming from the outside. So you turn up the music or whatever, the volume of whatever you might be listening to. You might not be listening to anything, but it was a system embedded in the cars to make the car smarter, right? To help you out so you didn't have to manually do it. The setting was just there. That was the first iteration of AI. Now, he works in sales and he works for the company HP, Hewlett Packard, if you're not familiar. You might have heard of them. Fortune whatever company, right? So it's a legacy company. So that's a seed implanted. And I told you when I joined the military, the Navy back in 2008, when you call Navy Fed, when you call USA, you don't go straight to a person. Welcome to USA, the yada, yada, yada. Now you can say, oh, that's just a recording. Nope. Welcome to our menu. Press 1 if you're looking to for debit cards. Press 2 for credit cards. Press 3 if you want your account information, which typically that's 1. But you get what I'm saying. It's hard to do this live sometimes. Press 4 if you want. That is AI and banking. The banking sector has had it for more than 10 years. They've had it for about 15 years or more, right? So that was AI. So that's the seed down here. And as more and more sectors get it, you'll start seeing car sector had it, automotive sector had it, banking sector had it. What is that? Roots, right? So then you give it to tech companies. They have it. Well, they had it first. They made it, right? So now you give it to the general populace. That's more roots. And now what is it doing? It's breaking up through the ground. So AI is emerging out of the ground right now because last year or the year prior, they gave us ChatGPT. They gave us Vidu. They gave us Leonardo. They gave us Pictory. They gave us, now you see all these different companies, Gemini, Google's, right? You see all these different companies emerging with AI. There's Krea, there's Midjourney. I mean, you see AI like jumping off the walls, right? And so now it's emerging out of the ground. It's still in baby phases. For a plant, this is infancy. It is so vulnerable to attack. Anything could just be like, and it's gone, right? Anything could be like, pull the whole thing out and eat it, gone, it's done. Bugs will do it. Parasites will do it. What is it called? Fungus will do it, right? But it's going to be this giant sequoia tree and the trunk is going to be this big around and it's going to shoot up to 100 feet. No, it ain't. Not if it gets attacked down there. That's not going to happen to AI because of all the roots it's put down. It's put down way too many roots. It's going to spring up and you have to be able to see it before it gets there. Stop using your sight for where it is. Use your vision for where it's going to be. Look at the trajectory and that'll tell you where it's going. AI is going to be a household name. ChatGPT is going to be in everybody's phones. It's going to be, pretty soon it's going to not be an app. More than likely, it's probably going to be just embedded in the phone. They're going to call it the ChatGPT phone or whatever, like a Google Pixel or something like that. Just think about it. It's going to go there, right? It's going to be embedded in your cars. It's going to be embedded in your smart wallets. It's going to be embedded. In fact, smart wallets already have it in there, but just think about it like that, right? So AI made it surge. The company known for its AI-driven data software has a significant player in the market with its shares gaining a massive 2,400 over the past 3 years. And that's true. I found Palantir when it was like $30-something. In fact, I think I started buying it when it was that low, maybe in the teens. But if I had have really thought about it, I would have bought a lot more than 145 shares. But that's on me, not using the vision. I was focused on investing in other stuff, not thinking this company would explode like this. And if you really think about it, right, that's a percentage. Now imagine this, right? I invested $10,000 in them when they were like $17, right? Divided by 17. So that would get me 588 shares, right? Really, I guess you could do, well, anyway, so if I just took $10,000 times 24.27, because you would just move the decimal 2 places, that's what a $10,000 investment would have gotten me if they're talking about if you go back 3 years. That's what 10,000 would have gotten you. So that's why vision is important, because this is actually what you could be doing with your money. 24x in your money, right? Who's ever heard of a 24x, 2x, 3x, 10x, 24x? Anyway, so look, this is some of the stuff that you could be looking at on Robinhood to figure out what's going on in your company. Now, it says it's fueled by AI, and then it gives some Q3 numbers, but we already broke down their earnings calls. If you haven't seen it, go on to YouTube, my YouTube, and it's actually, let's just see. I don't know what this is going to play. I'm scared. Okay. I say that every time too. So you can look it up just like this. I have earbuds apparently. I don't, but that's a good, it's going to be this guy right here. That's me forging something. I'm just kidding. That's not me. You go here, you go to videos, the playlist here, and then look, oh, second one down, Palantir's top growth strategy. Then look, the real reason behind Palantir dominating with 104% growth. Then 3 secrets behind Palantir's mind-boggling 104% growth. This picture's AI. My biceps ain't that big. I'm just kidding. That is me. So this is the first video. Number 2, number 3, right? I am using AI to create these photos though, right? I was asking my brother to help me with some photos every single time because this dude is an AI genius, but I thought about it. Man, you better start using it. You telling everybody else. So instead of asking him, I just learned to generate these photos. This is an AI generated photo for what we talked about last week. But anyway, Palantir's breakdown is right there. Now let's continue. They're talking about some Q3 numbers, but they're talking about AI making it surge. Now let's back up. Let's see. What's the next one? Palantir or Marvel? All right. That sounds interesting. Marvel? Billionaire Cliff Asness pulls the trigger on one AI stock and slashes the other. All right. The stock market looks pricey compared to history. Yada, yada, yada. Get to the nuts and bolts here. They don't tell you until you start getting down here. All right. Right now paying a lot for the stock. Yada, yada. So which one did he scrap? Okay. In this case, it's Palantir, known for its AI data software, and Marvell on the NASDAQ, a semiconductor one. So he is making a move on one AI stock. So he dialed back on Marvell, which is a semiconductor company, and he bought Palantir. See this? And this guy, never heard of him before, but he's a billionaire. So now you know what this article just showed us. One, pay attention to everything it just showed you. Don't just take the surface level stuff. Pay attention. A billionaire is investing in Palantir. That's one. It also told you the name of a billionaire. So now you can look him up and see what he's famous for. Billionaires are out there, usually public information. You can find out what else he's invested in. You can find out what companies he owns and what he does, all of that. So it told you a billionaire invested in a Palantir, and it told you why. Now, if a billionaire is putting his money into a company, you probably should too. But don't just invest. Never invest at the height of the market, and never invest in something that could be a rug pull. And we're going to get to that one in a second. So also, what is it telling you? It gave you another name of a company that he was invested in, Marvell, right? So now you can go look up Marvell and what it does. Now look, it's on the NASDAQ. Now, this one's in the New York Stock Exchange, but you can also look up Marvell and see if it's in the New York Stock Exchange. It gives you the 4-letter ticker. It tells you it's on the NASDAQ, and it tells you that it's a semiconductor company as well. Now, what do we know? Now, let's see if you were like, should I put my money into Marvell? Well, he just pulled his money out of it. Probably not. So I guarantee you it's gone down in the last week if he's done this in the last week. But I don't know when he did this. It's actually gone up in the last week, so that would be incorrect. It went down for the month. It's up past 3 months. It's down year to date, 13%. And 1 year, it's down. And that's probably why he pulled out of it. Let's see, 5 years. 5 years is up 100%. and 590 in max. But what's the max time? 5 years. Okay, cool. So it probably IPO right back here. That's what it looks like. Looks like it's IPOing around June 30th. Oh, this is 2000. Okay, so it's been, I saw that wrong. That's 2000. So it's been around 25 years. In fact, 95. But it didn't go public in 95. It's been around since 95, but going public is different. Anyway, so that's fantastic growth if you were in since 2000. Another way to look at it is that it took about 25 years for it, or since 95, right? So that'd be what, 30 years to go up 600%. That's slow growth. It's one way to look at it. When you have companies in 3 years doing 2,400%, but that's not normal though. That's just where we are now. This is fantastic growth, right? If you put your money there and you had to save it for 25 years, that's fantastic growth. That's a return on investment I'd be willing to take. But it's probably his year to date, and it's 1 year that he's looking at, and it's probably the fantastic growth that Palantir is getting. Now, they also pay a little bit of a dividend here, but scrap all of this. Get what I'm saying, right? Now you know another company in the tech sector, and you know they do semiconductors, and you can read more about it right here. But who do you know that's the number one in the semiconductor space? Because I would say invest in the number ones, maybe the number two. If you're looking at a marathon and one person's in, Taiwan Semiconductor, there you go. Chat's undefeated, TSM, and we're going to get there. If you're looking at a marathon and you've got your, I'm not going to say an ethnicity, but y'all already know. If you're looking at a marathon and you're looking at somebody in home stretch and the next person is at the 15-mile marker and the next person behind them is 10 miles, you could invest in the number two because they have a 5-mile and then everybody else is back here. You could invest in the number two because they have a good lead on everybody, especially if they're home stretch. And let's say they're at the 20-mile marker or the 15-mile marker. And you know who that is? I'm talking about NVIDIA and AMD, right? NVIDIA and AMD. So, but let's get to what the chat was talking about. Not talking about TUM apostrophe BAT. I know last week it was BOUT, but we can change it. Tombat, not tombout. All right, so two different ones. Learn to speak Blacksmith. All right, so TSM. These are the top semiconductor producer in the world. Like, in fact, they are like, I think they make about 90% of the world's semiconductors, right? And look at their chart. Up, and away. Year to date, 50%. In 1 year, 45%. 5 years, 200%. But look at that chart all the way back here in 2000. But their growth has not been radical. Their growth has been sustained. Slow and steady wins the race. But think about what we're saying here. They make 90% of the semiconductors in the world. And because of the geographical location and what's going on over there right now, the one in Arizona should be opening up sometime next year or early 2027. I think it was scheduled to open up in 2027, but they're trying to push it to where later on this next year in 26, they open. And look, they pay a dividend. TSM, everybody uses their semiconductors, including the number one chip maker and including the number one GPU maker, NVIDIA. So I would say, me personally, I wouldn't invest in Marvell. I would invest in TSM if I was going to get into semiconductors. But though this sounds like I'm rambling, what I'm about to show you is daisy chain all of this back to what we spoke about in the beginning. Looking at one article from Palantir, a company that I invest in, sent me down, it's not a rabbit hole, but sent me down this path where I'm absorbing all this extra information. And that is how you should be doing your market research in these companies. And again, so let's go back to the article. Think about everything the article just showed you. It told you a billionaire invested in Palantir. It kicked one tech company for another. It told you who the billionaire was. He kicked one tech company for another. So if he pulled his money out, you should find out why. Now, he's obviously, this is from an interview that he's doing, right? So I would say maybe see if you can find that interview. Since y'all can see this on the left side, I'm going to make my face bigger. Look, I'm growing my wisdom back because all those darn razor bumps, ingrown hairs that I got, and I didn't even use a razor. I just used trimmers. Anyway, y'all don't want to hear about my magnificent face. Anyway, so listen. It it told you this new company tells you that it's NASDAQ, but now we looked it up. It's also on the New York Stock Exchange. It tells you that it's a semiconductor company. And now you could actually Google, watch this. Let's see if it works. Let's just see if it works. What company is the top manufacturer of semiconductors? Should have put it's one word, and I should have put a question mark. Top semiconductor capitalization in 2025 is NVIDIA. Okay, they don't manufacture them, though. They buy them, though. TSM, right here. So TSMC is going to be the American one. But let's see if it all says the same thing. Market designing high-performance GPUs for AI, but uses foundries like TSM2. Okay, so see right here, it's telling you they utilize TSMC, right? TSMC, the world's largest dedicated foundry manufacturing chips for companies like NVIDIA, yada, yada, yada. So from this, you can see Broadcom, AMD, Samsung. You can look at all the other companies that it's showing you. And this is exactly how you should look up companies. All right. So that's one thing. I think we've beaten that horse. You've been watching. I'm going to get to your article, but let me see what you said here. I've been watching Intel and IRBT, but what I've been reading, IRBT might not last, so I might start with Intel. What do y'all know about these two? Y'all don't have to answer. Wait, y'all don't have to answer. No, just writing down my thought. Oh, now, you meant now. Y'all don't have to answer now, just writing down my thoughts so I don't forget to mention. I appreciate that. Yes. And that's how we should utilize the chat, because I might be on a roll with something, and then but I'm going to get to it if it's in the chat. So let me come back to this and let me play his video that he put up here and see what it is he's talking about. You already know how to spell it, so I don't want anybody confused. Just get to the video. Is this it? Yes, you can spell it like that. I like to put an apostrophe when it's Ebonics, but whatever. Is this the video? Did it open up the right one? Sometimes it doesn't open the right one. Ooh, Alicia Little, the queen of AI. Nah, user error. All right, hold on. Here we go again. Sure, I'll give you a follow. All right, see, not now. See, this is what it does. All right, is this it? Sir? Oh, yeah, because it was about drones. All right, let's hear this.
No ropes, no risk. Traditional cleaning is slow, dangerous.
All right, hold on.
Over $12,000 per contract using a genius invention, a drone that cleans entire building facades. No scaffolding, no ropes, no risk. Traditional cleaning is slow, dangerous, and expensive. You need scaffolding, days of setup, and workers hanging high above the ground. But this drone maps the whole surface, uses high-pressure washing, and cleans with speed, precision, and zero danger. It finishes jobs up to 70% faster and the results are insane. And it's not just buildings. Huge billboards for brands like KFC, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, all of them need regular cleaning too. It's a massive untapped market. If this doesn't exist in your country yet, this could be your opportunity to launch it first. I share clever business ideas. Follow for more. You may be shocked about this business idea.
I tell
in
you.
Peru, an entrepreneur is earning over $12,000
let it play
per
twice.
contract using a genius invention, a drone that cleans entire building facades. No scaffolding, no ropes, no risk. Traditional cleaning is slow, dangerous, and expensive. You need scaffolding, days of setup, and workers hanging high above the ground. But this drone maps the whole surface, uses high-pressure washing, and cleans with speed, precision, and zero danger. It finishes jobs up to 70% faster, and the results are insane. And it's not just buildings. Huge billboards for brands like KFC, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, all of them need regular cleaning too. It's a massive untapped market. If this doesn't exist in your country yet, this could be your opportunity to launch it first. I share clever business ideas. Follow for more. You may be shocked about this business
that's
idea.
enough. I'm going to keep the video playing, but the sound, no. All right, folks. Let me tell you something. He is actually right. I would say he stole my thunder, but it's his video, and the video was out before I had these thoughts. So he just said, if this doesn't exist in your country, this might be a huge untapped market. It's exactly where my mind went, right? This is always the problem with the masses, right? Actually in the Forge, right? I sent out this video right here with Kevin O'Leary, one of the most prominent sharks on Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful, AKA, right? Or AKA Mr. Wonderful, as he calls himself. This was a crazy interview. Look, you may have seen that guy right there. Diary of a CEO is the channel. Check that video out. If you are watching this on YouTube later on, then look it up on YouTube, because also get into the Discord. All right, join my Discord. My server's called the Blacksmith Podcast server, but you don't want to have to scroll and find this. I don't know when you're going to find this on YouTube, but look the video up. Extraordinary. And he did say, Kevin O'Leary, he said that, most people are not going to be successful. Most people, he said 1/3 of the people are going to be like successful entrepreneurs, and 2/3 of the people will not. And another thing he talked about was one of his stories on how he became successful. You know what he said? It came from a failure. He got fired from an ice cream shop. His first job was working at an ice cream shop. And watch this. He didn't have a vision for his life, right? He only got the job because there was a girl he was interested in, a couple stores down that worked at a shoe store or something like that he was interested in, and he thought maybe they could hang out after work. He could go meet her, get her number, hang out after work, and he was close proximity with working. See, guys do a lot of stupid stuff for women when they think it's worth it. We just, I don't know. Y'all have something about you. We're attracted to you. God works. Well, this ain't even a mysterious way. He invented us to be like this. Invented and created and produced. Anyway, y'all get it. So he did that, and the lady who owned the ice cream shop would make him. So what people would do is they would come in, and those little spoons or the little scooper or the little the little Italian ices, they have the little piece of wood that looks like a peanut. They would scoop it out, the ice cream out, so you could taste it, right? And hand it to you. They stopped all that stuff during COVID. You better know what it tastes like, because if you get it and don't like it, oh, well, you bought it. So what happened, that girl, the people would have gum in their mouth. And sometimes they, rapscallions in this country, they would spit their gum on the floor. And then the gum would get squished on the floor by the next customer and all that kind of stuff. Instead of spitting their gum in the trash because they know they're going to want to try the ice cream, there's probably a trash can by the door and they don't use it. They spit it on the floor. Terrible, terrible. This is why Singapore doesn't allow people to chew gum. They don't have this problem. Anyway, she would make him scrape the gum off the floor at the end of the night. Well, that was all in dandy, except now he never liked it, But when that girl came in one time and they were going to go hang out and they were closing, she said, "Oh yeah, Kevin, by the way, you have to scrape the gum on the floor before you leave." But the girl was there. Optics, right? He said, "I normally wouldn't have so much of a problem, but she was there. And I have my pride. It's bad for my branding to be on my hands and knees scraping gum off of the floor in front of the girl that I like." So I told her, I'm not, I didn't put the gum there. I didn't sign up to scrape gum. I signed up to serve ice cream." She said, "How about this? You're fired." And he said, "I didn't understand at the time." I think he just electrified. He got, shocked by lightning. Like he was just so struck. So she fired him on the spot. Now, if he said, "Hey, just kidding. Let me, I'm already down here. What you talking about? Same time tomorrow, right? Same working hours." She probably would have let him keep his job, but he walked out. And he said that was the beginning of him changing. Because he said he realized at that moment there were two types of people in the world. There were ones who own the establishment, and there's others that scrape the gum. And he said, "I will not scrape anybody's gum anymore." And I look at it like this, right? Now, let's look at this video. How many people do you think have drones out there and they just fly them for fun? I have a little airplane I'm flying around, and I'm an end consumer because I didn't manufacture it. I didn't patent it. I'm not an investor in the company, but I bought the drone and I fly it all the time and have fun. Oh, look, I put a camera on it, and I can see everything. How many people do you think are doing that versus utilizing it like this? I guarantee you it's only a handful of people doing this, but there's tons of people that put cameras on their drones and they actually make content on social media. That's smart, right? A lot of times we have to be the end consumer for things to start, but do something else with it. Make something more. They just did that. They're not scraping gum, except they are. But they're owning the thing that's scraping the gum for them. Look, the owner of this company probably did scrape the gum with his drone at first, right? Now he's got employees scraping the gum. See that? Ingenuity, man. I tell you. But what do y'all think about this? Throw it in chat. Or if you're watching it on any other platform later on, Fanbase, YouTube, Rumble, whatever, because I have all three. I say. Tell me what you think about this. All right. Now, I can I'll get to your comment. If it comes in before I get to your comment that you posted before, I'll go ahead and start answering that. But if not, too late. So you've been watching Intel and IRBT. Let's look those up. I don't know what IRBT is, but let's look at Intel. We know what they are. This has been a household name, legacy company. So let's look at Intel. First of all, oh my God, Intel, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Hey, I think my oldest son will be very good at using a product and turning it into something else. Yeah, look. I want you to see my face when I say this. Utilize that ingenuity. Let me tell you something. And Curtis knows this well. So when I was about 8 years old, I was 8. We were living in Washington State on base housing, Fort Lewis. I think it's called McCord or something now. I don't know. It's some joint base with the Air Force. It was an Army base then. And I still remember we lived at 6401 Garcia Boulevard, I believe. A little convenience store was right on the corner. And if you just go out of our cul-de-sac, and the cul-de-sac is very short. Like you drive in and you can start going around and there's houses all around there. You come out, make a left, go up to the light, which is like 0.2 away, go straight across the street. That was our elementary school. So if we missed the bus, we could just walk. It was so safe. I loved the base, but let me tell you something. As a young lad, I had the idea. My parents had this one briefcase in the house, And I had this grandiose idea that I would put my Super Nintendo or my Sega Genesis. I was thinking Super Nintendo, so I'll stick with that. Into the briefcase on the side, right on the right side of the suitcase. Hopefully it fits front to back. If not, I got to turn it sideways. But let's just go with me for a second. Let's say it fits front to back, right? I place it in there. Now I wrap up the controllers. One goes beside it. Wrap up the other one. One goes beside it. I wrap up it had a power cord, right? And it had a visual cord. I forget what it's called. You get what I'm saying. It's not HDMI. It wasn't that kind of hookup because it had an octagon or hexagon like piece that you could finger tighten onto the back of the TV with a little cable in it. And it looked different back then. But you put all of that in it, close that suitcase up, take it with you. Now it's traveling with you, right? And that was part of the idea. But the other part of the idea, so it was portable, right? Because I had this idea because we used to live in Columbia, South Carolina, 4341 Camino Court, by the way, for about 3 years. My mom got back into the Army. And so my parents packed up our 94 Dodge Dakota and 89 Hyundai Sonata, and we drove that thing from Columbia, South Carolina, East Coast, all the way to Washington State, right? And we went through Kansas, and we took the northern route to get there. And it was snowing and all this stuff. It was snowing and all of this stuff. So when we were traveling, right, I remember going to the hotel room, and I was sitting there looking at the TV. There was just one TV in the room. And my parents would be talking about whatever. And at the time, what was it? 5 kids and my parents. And we share one room, 2 beds. And we were all small then, so we make it work. So I remember my dad, we're sitting there watching the TV, and he was like, well, Junior, all these channels are boring. You know, I wish we hadn't packed up your video games because I'd let y'all just plug that up. And I was like, well, what box is it in? Because, you know, we could just, and he was like, nah, I don't know. We ain't going to figure it out, whatever. And in my head, it was like, dang, why'd you mention it? Because now my heart's racing. I want to play video games, right? But that planted a seed in me. It really did, right? And so when we got to Washington, the whole time there, I was like, dang, if we hadn't packed up those darn video games, right? So we get to Washington State, we unpack everything, and I see this briefcase. And my mind is still on the traveling. That's a long way. And I was like, what if I did that? And I could just carry the briefcase. I could sit it on my lap while we drive, right? So I just carry it into the room. But then I thought through that. And I said, ooh, what if I even set it up to stay inside the case while you play it? What if I took the visual cable out, the power cable out, the 2 controllers out, I took those out and put them on the side, I slid the game console to the middle, and I had holes cut out of the back of the briefcase, and I just put the power cable in through the back of the briefcase, in through the back of the game, the console. I did the same thing with the visual one. And then I did the same thing with the front. I put the controllers through the briefcase into the console on both sides, and I leave it there inside of the briefcase. And then I put the briefcase up by the TV so where the cords can reach, right? And we sit there and play. And then when it's time to unpack it, just reverse course, right? Well, then from that, I thought, man, you know what would be insane? This was way ahead of its time because the year was 94. I said I was 8. I'm an 86er. The year was 94. This idea was way ahead of its time. And if I'd have died, it would have died with me. It was the dumbest thing ever. And I didn't tell my parents what I was planning on doing, and I knew I should have. Everything in me was burning to just do it, actually, and show my parents in hopes that they, instead of beating the black off of me as it has been threatened many times, they never succeeded. I don't know, but they tried. Maybe that's why I'm darker. I don't know. But I was hoping that I should, everything in me. I had a knife in my hand. I went upstairs where nobody was. I was in the closet, that briefcase where I remember you walk up the stairs, you turn right, go straight. There was a closet at the end of the hall. And if you were looking at the closet door, if you go like this to your right, that's my sister, Vanessa Veronica. That was their room, right? And I remember I was in that closet. I was going to do it right there in the closet. I had the knife pressed up against the leather, and I didn't do it. And here's the thinking that was way ahead of its time. And I'm going somewhere with this, obviously. I was thinking, what if at the top of the briefcase, I could put a screen, but I would have to make a TV flat, and I could put a screen, like when it's closed, the screen would be like this, sitting with the screen down at the console's top. So it would have to be flat because it wouldn't shut. And then when you open it, the screen, instead of being like this, when you open the briefcase, the screen would be facing you. And so now you're not looking at a TV. If your parents want to watch the news, fine. You just need one outlet to power the console, and then your visual cable is connected to the screen. So as soon as you lift up the briefcase, the screen's looking at you. So now you move the console to the middle after you take the wires out, and you just plug the thing into the screen here. Now you're playing everything inside that briefcase. You know why that sucks so bad? Because let me show you something that I discovered. I discovered this when I was the age of 26. So 18 years later, watch this. Show you something. Now it's dusty because I haven't used it, but look at what I have here. Now this is not the first iteration of the one I found at 26 and took on my first deployment, but this is one I bought right before I deployed in 2022. I was a chief already, and I used it 3 or 4 times while I was deployed. But look, about the size of a big briefcase, right? Look how slim it is. Look at this. See that? It's even got rubber on the bottom so it doesn't slide, right? Now watch this. It has the latches just like a briefcase. Weird, right? It opens. Hold on, let me pull this before this stuff falls out. And I'm saying this to prove a point. Use that ingenuity. Now look, it opens up. What is that? A screen looking right at you. And it has, let me prop my foot up. It has a really small HDMI cable that goes right from your console right here to the screen, right? It has a sound jack for headphones. This is where the power cord goes, right here. Power button, volume, the lighting, and a menu button for the screen, right? Has a pouch for your controllers and all that kind of stuff. And then it has straps. So when the game system is in here, now you don't move this one around. The game system sits here and you just keep it strapped down all the time. So when you pick it up, it's not sliding around and it busts your screen, right? So you keep it strapped down. So not every gaming system can fit in here. So the Xbox Series X or the Series S, because they're so tall and rectangular, they won't fit. But the flat PS4, the flat PS3, the flat PS2, the flat PS5 will fit in here. So here's the power cable right here, right? And this was my idea when I was 8 years old. 31 years ago, if I had to use that ingenuity, God gave me $1 million idea, a multi-million dollar idea. And this technology could have existed a long time before that. Flat screens could have existed a long time ago because he put that idea in one little boy. But guess what? And this is why I tell you, it got invented anyway. Watch this. 1,000 people in the world will have the same idea. 200 of them will realize it's good enough to put on paper. But only 20 of them will realize that 1,000 other people probably have the same idea and will actually start manufacturing things. And so only 1 or 2 of them will invent it. It got invented anyway. Utilize that inside your son because kids are very, very creative. They are not bogged down with the problems of the world yet, the stress of life. They're not married, so nobody's aggravating them. Love y'all, but it happens. And I didn't say a gender. We both aggravate each other and we both get pleasure out of it sometimes. But they don't have bills. They don't have anything constraining their creativity. I was so young and free at the time. All I had to do was put that knife to that leather and take that whooping, but explain it to my parents because they never even used the briefcase. That's the crazy thing, right? It was, and I knew it at 8 years old. They never even used this briefcase. Never even used it. It was right there. He handed me everything I needed. And I screwed it up. And you know who could have helped me? My dad, because he was surgical with blades. He could have been like, well, son, this is rough, but let me smooth out these cuts. Look here, now it fits better. And let me do this, let me do that. They could have helped. And then they probably could have found somebody, being the adults, or we could have bought more briefcases that would take the game system, the console, to the store, buy more briefcases after they told their friends about it, and start making those for people. It wouldn't have the screen, but you could take your console to your friend's house. If he didn't have a Sega Genesis, but he had a Super Nintendo, that's how you can carry it. It could also be a carrier, right? And so we could have manufactured it on our own. So utilize that. And I always look at that. It's not necessarily, it is a regret, but it's not just a regret. It is a learning, it's a lesson now that I teach people. There are 1,999 more people in the world that has the same idea as your son, little nephew. So hopefully that helps. So let me put this away. Work with me here. Give me a second. But I'm telling you, this is true to life. 8 years old, had that idea. And somebody invented it. Somebody did. All right, let me see. This thing is expensive, and it's got some weight to it without any games in it. And I know they spell games wrong, but, I think that's part of the shtick. Is somebody knocking at the door? What's up? What's up? Did you have lunch yet? Did you have lunch yet? I speak English. I know you can hear me. Then you need lunch. If you're not ready to eat lunch, no chips, all right? Love you. I know. I love hearing it, though. Kids. Some people's kids, I tell you. All right, let's see. Pop. Yeah. You're exactly right. That's right. Pop. I would have gotten my butt whooped. That was great grandma's briefcase. Yeah, exactly. And great grandma would have been smiling in her grave. No, that would have been creepy. But they would have been proud had they been here to see what I did with the briefcase. You know what my parents did with the briefcase? Couldn't even tell you. It was sitting in the closet for years and years and years. And every time we moved, we always packed it up and took it with us. When they got divorced finally, and we left that house in Georgia, just left it because it was going to get foreclosed on and taken, I bet you it was in that house. You know what became of that house? I have no idea. 365 White Birch Drive, Covington, Georgia. Don't ask me to zip. I have no idea. Newton County. No idea. It's a double wide trailer home with 5.5 acres. No idea. All that stuff was left right there. And so was that dream. Because at that point, that was 2003, no one had invented it yet. And I was 17 years old. See that? I'm telling you. So if there's anything that he has an idea to do, see if you can nurture it. Because you know what they have now that they didn't have when I was that young? They have Canva. They have AI. They have I'm getting too old. Alibaba. Alibaba is the Chinese Amazon, where you can order cotton swabs, not Q-tips, cotton swabs, the product actual title, right? The product name, slap your label on it for your company and sell it here in the US. You can buy the cotton swabs extremely cheap. A box of 150 might be $1, $2, right? And to get it shipped might be another $2. So, okay, your overhead cost is $4. Now you need your label put on it. They'll do it for you, another $2. So now it's $6. So now you know you need to at least sell it for $6 to break even. But if you put it on shelves or an Amazon store, there's fees associated with it. So let's say it brings it up to, now this is going to be way too much, right? It's cotton swabs. So let me think. What are those things, like $4 in the grocery store? Maybe not the best representation, but let's say to create it, it's 50 cents, right? To ship it is 50 cents. To put your label on it is $1, right? So all your cost is $2, right? Now let's say those things are selling in the store for $6 a piece. That's $4 profit with some fees on it. Let's say you make $2 every one of them you sell, right? Alibaba is there, and you can do that with Amazon. That wasn't around when I was there. Tech companies and all this kind of stuff wasn't there, but we could have gotten it done and been the ones to invent stuff like that. So just think about that, right? So if your son has an idea, nurture it. That's all I'm saying. And we have people who are in the family that can do a lot, that can help further the idea, add on to it, take away from it. So let's do that, because it's our job as parents to really do that. And that's one aspect we never really talk about, but we have kids that probably could have companies very young, or be the start of a company very young. But that power washing thing was awesome. Okay, so Intel, this has been on the screen the whole time. So if you ain't been looking at it, I'm about to scroll past it. So Intel in the past week is up 1.5%. They're up for the month almost 9%. They're up in the past 3 months almost 70%. Year to date, since January, they're up over 100%. So you've doubled your investment, and the same thing about for year over year. Now 5 years, I knew that chart was going to be down. In Max, I knew that chart was going to be down. So Intel used to be huge way back here, but Y2K took them down. And they've been up, they've been down. It looks like the bottom of theirs was 2009. What do we know was happening around 2009? The housing market crisis. So if people are losing their homes, guess what? And I think it started in 2007, it hit 2008, and 2009 was rough. I was in the Navy for about, not even a year at this point. I was in the Navy about, 6 months? 6 months at this point. Anyway, the housing market crashed. So think about it. Intel is a real B2C business, right? Business to customer or consumer, right? So if a lot of their products, 51% of their revenue is coming from people buying their laptops and their products, and there's a housing market crisis, guess what? That takes their sales, their revenue way down, right? Um, and so they climb back up here and there, and they started getting high. When is this? 2020? 2021? Okay, and then they fell back off the grid, and then they went up. But what's really pushing their sales? Do we know? Chat, what's really pushing Intel nowadays? What's really doing it? Do we know what's driving Intel's increase? Because it's important to know what's going on with Intel to know what's driving their success, their recent success. They had a strong year to date. I'll leave it on that one. What's really driving their success? They don't pay a dividend, and they're a legacy company. They're a tech company. IBM and Intel, I had written them off. They're dead. I had. I'm saying they're not, but I had written them off. So you can see some articles right here, but what do you think is really Intel may make chips for iPhones starting in 2028? Now that would do it. You'd think it was the chips. Yes, that's what was driving. That's what's always been driving them with cars. I'm saying what's driving their recent success. I know they make chips. I know they make processors, right? I know they make chips, but what's driving the recent success? Do y'all know what's really driving the recent success with Intel? Oh, it says that voice thing was not AI. Okay, that was the conversation I had with somebody who told me that. So I don't know. He said it was. I don't know. So I'll tell you what's recently driving Intel. What I read was chips. Oh, chips driving them recently. Okay, I see what you mean. So listen, they've had some innovation with their chips and their products and all of that kind of stuff. Sure. No, what really is driving their success, say what you want, is President Trump, because he put out about the government is going to start using Intel. He put out that we should invest in Intel. One of his main focuses, and he said this with the tariffs back in February or March, he announced it, is that one of his initiatives is he's trying to bring industry. Now, I don't care whether you believe him. I don't care what you think of him. This is not that. I'm just telling what he said. One of his main focuses that he said he was focused on was that he's trying to bring that industrialization back to America. And what does that mean? It means that he wants us to start manufacturing our own stuff. We have outsourced everything we do. We've outsourced cars, we've outsourced chips, we've outsourced products like Q-tips and or cotton swabs, cotton balls, all that kind of stuff to other countries, because these companies are just using Alibaba and they're buying them for 50 cents a pop and selling them for $7. They're buying them for $2 to get them shipped and made and all of that kind of stuff, and they're getting them shipped. All right, so their current momentum was driven by a combination of significant businesses turnaround IDM strategy 2.0, strong demand for its chips, especially for AI's PCs, major investments and partnerships from tech giants like NVIDIA, and government support. That's what I'm talking about, though, and government support. Yes, the chips, but they didn't have the government backing, right? So in our government computers, I'll have to look at it, but I do remember when I first came in, we were using Intel, but I don't know now who we're using, but I'm going to look that up and I'll come back next week and I'll let y'all know. But the thing is, right, and I guess there's a conspiracy theory about this, and I appreciate that a lot of Air Forces uses Dell. Yes, that's who we use, Dell. That's who we use. There it is. Dell. That's who we use. And I know that to be a fact. But here's the thing, though. Sometimes you will see, yeah, maybe the computer's Dell, but the processor is Intel, right? Their chip. But you see NVIDIA. Now, go back. If you didn't see it, let me pull this real quick. All right, we already know how to get to the Blacksmith podcast. Hopefully I spelled that right. All right, so President Trump's 2025 inauguration, right? Look at these people right here. This is what I wanted.
My energy bill dropped from $150 to
No one cares.
$50 by doing this.
No one cares. Bad.
My friends laughed
Bad
at me when I
commercial. Look, stop right there. Who are those people, chat? Who is that? That's actually what I was looking for. It's so must be God. God don't make mistakes. A friend I met at the gym today kept saying that. This is a chance meeting. He was shaking my hand hard. God don't make mistakes. Who are these people? Who is this? Do y'all know who this is? Y'all don't know these folks? Y'all need to know these folks. They're very important people. These are CEOs, CFOs. These are important folks. If you don't know that bald guy right there, then you need to stop having packages shipped to your house every 2 hours. That is Jeff Bezos. I ain't say it. I said Jeff Bezos. That's him. That's Jeff Bezos. Who's that? The Social Network. Can't anything about. Okay. All right. Can the rest of y'all hear me? Mic up, say something, or just type in the chat. I don't care. Can y'all hear me? Is it me? Can y'all hear me now?
I can't hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, so look. What I was asking is, who are these people? But I already said CEOs, right? Cool. This guy right here, this is Jeff Bezos. This is Mr. Amazon himself. Unprofitable company for 14 years. This is him. This is the guy that essentially allegedly killed DHL. Most people don't know who that is, or DHS, whoever it is. See, I can't even remember. DHL, I think it was. It had the red letters with the yellow truck. They used to be the ones that deliver packages to the house. I see less UPS trucks now than I ever saw. So UPS took them down a notch. FedEx too. They had FedEx trucks going through neighborhoods. Don't see those anymore. Who's another one? USPS would deliver packages. Now they just deliver the mail. And if you have a small enough package, it goes in your mailbox. But this is the guy that did it. Looked at his competitors. This is him. Who's this? The Social Network. Mr. Harvard dropout himself, Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, his middle name's Eugene. I'm just kidding. I don't know what his middle name is, actually. I'm just kidding. But this is Mark Zuckerberg. This is who President Trump had at his inauguration. And there's more people. I'm looking for somebody in particular. This guy right here, he looks familiar. And I want to say I know who he is. That's what I thought. I knew it. Sundar Pichai. Don't get me to line. There's Google's CEO right there. I knew it. I freaking knew it. That's him. And I'm pretty sure Lisa from AMD, I don't know what her name is. Hold on. AMD CEO, Lisa Sue. Let's see if she's in the crowd. I don't remember if Lisa was there at the inauguration. She's blocked, but that's not Lisa. All right, hold on. I know what Jensen looks like, and I thought he was at the inauguration. You know the best way to do this? Watch this. No. If it can split that in half, that'd be great. Let me see. CEOs in attendance at inauguration. Look at that. Didn't even have to continue it. All right, let's see. Elon Musk. Oh, darn. Yes, he was there. He was there. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Tim Cook. Tim Cook. He was there too. Dana White, UFC. I don't know who he is, but he owns LVMH. I know what that is. That's all your luxury brands. That's Versace on the floor. That's Gucci. That's all those luxury brands are rolled into that company. This guy owns them all. I didn't know him, but I know that. Look, TikTok. See? So this is what I mean. When I say what spurred along Intel's growth, President Trump was saying that they're going to start investing back into Intel. And I thought NVIDIA was there as well. But they had some other conferences, and I know Jensen Huang was there. But I'm not sure. It's not listing him, but that's enough right there. These CEOs. So if these CEOs came to the inauguration, that means they're already close to the president. They probably contributed their companies to his campaign to help get him elected. And they're probably standing side by side with him, which means if he wants to bring Intel back, what's the best way to do that? Have these guys invest in them and bring them back. Just saying. Follow the money. Follow the CEOs. All right, so Intel. Should you invest in Intel? Let me have a week to look up more innovation from Intel. Let me see what they've innovated on, or do this. Look at their recent innovations and look at specifically what they have done. Because I had Intel a while ago. This was a while ago in 2021. But I haven't had it for a long time. I got out of Intel because I had Taiwan Semiconductor. I never had Micron. I did have AMD. Never had these two, Qualcomm or UPS. UPS pays a good little dividend though. See how I know that, right? That's what the average person's financial literacy should be like, investment knowledge and all that kind of stuff. Let me have some time to look up Intel, or if you want, do this. If you want to know, should you invest in a company? First of all, know who their CEO, know about the company and what they do. Look at their competitors and see who the number one in that space is. If they're most famous for their chips, look at number one in chips. Look at the top 10. If they do semiconductors, look at who's number one in the top 10. If your company ain't in the top 10, I would say no. I'd say hell no, especially long-term investing. I would not do that. They may have a good year like this or come up, but an off year is coming. Everybody's predicting 2026 may start going down for the 2027 year decline. So think about that too. Would they have longevity in that year? Would you be, and then are they near a 52-week high? That's another thing. 52-week high is $44. I would not be investing right now. Too high. For 52-week low was $17. The time to get in has already passed. If you ask me, I'm not investing at that. And they don't pay a dividend either. I'm not investing at that. Now, it's still cheap. Now, in 2 years, if the company's at $100 or $150, you said not to invest. Listen, trading has considerable risk. I'm just telling you my strategy. I invest in the number one in the space, or as I've already painted the picture for you, if NVIDIA is in home stretch, the last 0.2, if AMD is 20 to 15 mile mark and everybody else is behind them, then I can get the number one and the number two in the space. But if everybody's right there at the 10 mile marker, maybe the sector or the space within that sector is too convoluted, right? It just depends. And then here's another thing. Watch their Q3 earnings That'll tell you. I kept scrolling up and down. That's one of the things I was looking for is their Q3 earnings, but you could probably YouTube it, right? Look at their Q3 earnings and listen to what the CEO has to say, the CFO, the money man, right? The CTO, they have a chief technology officer. Look at Palantir's call. All those people sitting around that table, there was 4, not just 1, not just 2, CFO and CTO, CEO and CFO, but they had the CTO sitting there too. And I can't remember what the other guy was. The other guy, I can't remember what his title was. What are we looking at? There's so many people that are mad with machines taking people's jobs, but we can't continue innovative invention if we keep doing the monotonous tasks. Once we figure out how to automate it or make it easier, then why the freak out? They rather complain about a starving artist that can't get paid because AI is drawing the image. People need to get with AI or they'll be left behind. Off topic. No, it's not off topic. It goes back to the AI conversation, but no, this is right in I'm gonna tie it in. Going back to that, think about how this is another thing I will say too. Intel, how are they utilizing AI? If they have not put AI in their company yet, leave them alone. If they've innovated with AI and they're showing how they're actually utilizing it, maybe there's a chance for them to make a comeback. Maybe it's something I'd throw $1,000 at. Maybe it's something I'd throw $2,000 at and watch it work, but not right now at $41. I would not do that. And we're in the holiday season too. I would not invest during the holiday season. Remember, December, January are typically great months for the market. February and March come down a bit because April tax season makes it jump again. So I would say look around February, March timeframe. It would be down. Think about it. People are buying their machines right now. People are buying machines with their chips in it right now. Their products for Christmas gifts. So the stock is going to keep roaring, but it's only going to roar because of Christmas and then the after Christmas sales in January, but it's going to come back down to realistic levels in February and March. So if that were me, that's what months I'd be looking to buy. I wouldn't wait necessarily for September for the worst month ever in the market. That's going to be too late, right? It may be at $70 by that time. You'd be like, well, I should have bought it in December when it was spiking. So it's just things to think about, right? Now let's go back to what you were talking about with AI. People like to complain. Most people are complainers. Most people aren't problem solvers. That's why you have a lot of people who are working for a few people. You know how many people work for these people? Some of us work for these people. In fact, one of our brothers, he's still chairman of Amazon. He's not CEO. I think he stepped down from CEO right as he was getting divorced, and his wife is now one of the wealthiest women on the planet. But we work for a lot of the people sitting right here. Do you know how many employees these people employ or have? How many people they employ? This is insane right here. That's why they're there. They're there, and we're mopping the floors for them, cleaning toilets for them, in the mail room, delivering mail for them, sorting mail for them. We work at their fulfillment centers. We work in the lab making chips, making GPUs for them. Social media, we're sitting there analyzing. We are case managers for channels that are doing well. We assign people to them. We do all these things for these people. They are few, we are many. Because most people would rather complain about something rather than do something about it. And the next now think about it this way. Who's the next person that's going to be sitting in this crowd? Is it you? It's going to be somebody. It's going to be somebody. They ain't old enough to where they're going to disappear just yet. She got them age lines on her neck, whoever this is. But this isn't Priscilla. That's his wife he met her in college. And he's still with her, too. Kudos to him. But that's not Priscilla. Maybe that's his new girlfriend. Or I don't know if he got married again. I'm not sure. But think of what I'm saying, right? who's the next CEO that's going to be sitting next to these guys? Jensen Huang or Wang or however, Jensen from NVIDIA. He could sit with them right now. First $5 trillion company in history. Tim Cook somewhere here. There's Elon Musk right there. I don't know how I missed him. Tim Cook's in here somewhere. OpenAI is probably in here somewhere. Sam Altman. It's a private company. When that company goes public, you better believe I'm going to be on that IPO train. Also, who's another one? Starlink, Neuralink. Oh, yeah, I'd be in there. What are we talking about? I love how Sam's Club and Walmart let me scan and go as I'm shopping so I can just leave and not stand in lines. Bam! I'm glad you brought that up. I did hear about that, and I don't remember where. Maybe it was Market Mondays. They do that now in stores so you can scan the product and just go pay for it as you leave. You don't have to long checkout lines. Now watch this. I talked about last week in 2004, I was a cashier for Pathmark. I was a cashier at a grocery store for 2 years, part-time. Don't know why I stayed there so long. It built character. It let me see everything I did not want to be like in life. But there were some good people I worked with there that taught me a lot of things. And I'll never forget the relationships we had and the conversations we had. And that set me on a great trajectory. But I'm just thinking the money part, waste of time, right? However, I learned a lot. In 2006, when I was quitting, right around my birthday, when I went to Home Depot and I was making $7.25 an hour here, I made $9.50, and then they moved me up to $10 and $10.50. I took 2 years experience over there. See, I didn't have a hard skill, but I had experience. Next best thing, might as well call it a soft skill, right? They had 4 self-checkouts and a supervisor assigned to it right then and there. They were telling us they were going to replace cashiers, and they had already done it. Technically, they didn't fire any of us. You know what they did? They just didn't hire more. And in a year or two, when they were going to figure that thing out, yeah, they probably start letting people go, right? Or find if they need to cut, where they cutting from, right? They're going to find reasons to let people go. Now, when I went back to New York, North Babylon, where that Pathmark was, it was no longer there in 2019. But you get the point. So now they have self-checkouts all in Home Depot. They have self-checkouts all in Walmart. And now the next thing coming to even replace the self-checkout, well, or to go along with the self-checkout, the next innovation is scan as you go shopping. And then you're just going to hold your card up as you walk out, grab your receipt. You don't need somebody to check your cart. Maybe they still have that person. But do y'all see? That's innovation. You're exactly right. The Walton family did do that. So you want to talk about AI and streamlining processes? You don't need cashiers anymore. You guys are going to have to put it in your mind. You have to be skilled labor. Degrees, certifications, credentials, licenses, trades. You have to start getting skilled. And you know another skill that nobody's talking about being skilled at? AI, which is why it's applicable, because my brother who just left off the live, that guy is a genius when it comes to AI. I keep saying they're going to start using this term prompt engineer. Darn it. Hey, if y'all are next to him or he's with y'all, can y'all ask him if he finished that Google class he was doing? So I told him about, I should have asked him while he was on. Yes, he did. Okay, cool. Yes, he finished it. I don't know which one he's in. They already have machine learning jobs. Yeah, weird. What's Google's website called? It's Alphabet something, I think. I typed all that. Corsa? I typed website in the chat. Jesus. That's not what I was trying to do. Never mind that. I think it's something to do with Alphabet, because that's what their stock is. Google Alphabet website. What is the corporation website? There it is. Is this it? Yeah. Nah, this ain't it. This ain't it. I got all hype for nothing. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Alphabet Inc. All right, somebody, y'all see me struggling here on camera. Somebody help me out here. Alphabet. It's saying Alphabet Inc. No, that ain't it. Well, I was going to show them how to get to actual Google and to get to those classes. But I'm struggling here. I can't even I can't figure out how to get to their website. I did do it last week. I just don't. Hey, tell Winston to come back. I need him. I need him. All right, let me see. Let me see if I can get to it from here. Alphabet. Q1 earnings. I've been on their classes, their website before, and I actually showed those classes, I believe. But Coursera, yeah. All right. I'll look that up. I see what you're saying. Maybe that'll do it. Oh, you're saying this is the site. Okay, gotcha. I thought you were saying, sorry, I thought, didn't I already tell him? Yeah, but I thought you were saying that was the name of the course he was doing, not the website. Because I asked what the name of the course was, and that's when that popped in. All right, folks. So right here, see this? Shut it. I thought. So see this? These are all classes that Google offers. Google Analytics, Data Analytics, Project Management, Google UX Design, Cybersecurity, Digital Marketing, E-commerce, Google IT Support. Have you done this one, Senior? IT Automation with Python. My brother, he's definitely an IT. Advanced Data Analytics, People Management Essentials, AI Essentials. Is this the one he's doing? Which one did he do? Which one did he do, the V do, the you do? Agile Essentials. I got bars. Digital Customer. I'm going to guess he did this one. Oh, Data Analytics. He did the one I just typed. All right, so Data Analytics. Yeah, which one? The Python one? Wait. I thought a few had Data Analytics. This is Advanced Data Analytics, so that wouldn't be the same thing. Hold on. Yeah, is it Google Data Analytics or you said no, Python is coding, so this one. So he did this one. All right, got it. So look, enroll for free. Starts December 6th. Starts today. 9-course series. Beginner level, flexible schedule. 6 months at 10 hours a week. You can finish it. Builds towards a degree. Look, 4.8 out of 163,000 people. I'm going to guess that's how many people finished it. Earn a career credential that demonstrates your expertise. Look at that. Look, folks, you cannot say, I'm tired of people crying wolf. I'm tired of people crying victim. Get yourselves out there and complete some stuff, man. If you got time to cry, you got time to get up and move your body. and get to work. Look, she's got a couple of certifications in her hand. Now they may be fake, but they're just showing you. Earn a certificate, build towards a degree, view eligible degrees. Look at this. Look, so this is what I'm saying, man. Yeah, they do call it doom scrolling. Look, chat is undefeated. Stop doom scrolling. Just mindless freaking slobbing, scrolling through YouTube and IG and TikTok all day long. And if you pull your activity, look at my eyes. They're brown. I'm not full of it though. If you pull is my lips dry? If you pull your history, your usage on IG, TikTok, YouTube, and it's like an hour long, if it's an hour a day on all three, 1, 2, 3, that's 3 hours a day. That's an eighth of your day just with social media. And only you know what you're looking at on there, right? If it's just freaking slobbing and zombie mode, that's how I assume they look. Lip hanging, one eye is half closed, they falling asleep, and their thumb just keeps going. And think about it. That's a third of your life you are spending on social media accomplishing nothing. If you put that third of your life into something else, like a course like this, you'd be done in no time. And you'd have so many accolades, you fill up the wall behind me with your certifications. You would have the job you wanted or career you wanted, not just over broke, not a job. You have the career you wanted. You would have the position at the career you wanted. If you added in the soft skills to go with it, you'd be good at the job. You promoted the job. You have the salary you wanted, and companies would compete for you. But you know what you do? You say, oh, not me. I'm a victim. I'm black. I'm short. My head ain't shaped right. My chin is weird. I have an overbite. I got an underbite, that fish jaw. I've got too much gray hair. You could have whatever excuse you wanted to have. I got one leg in a kickstand. If I'm talking about you at this point, something is wrong, dog. You better stop. This guy is so crazy. This guy's crazy, man. Don't listen to this guy. You almost have your master's. Yeah, there you go. And you got a big family too. Imagine that. You could get it done. Now look at the degrees. This is a master's of data science or statistics. This is a master of science in computer science, information technology, IT, psychology, applied arts and sciences. So I don't know what the heck that is. So, and here's another thing to think about, right? Applied arts and sciences. If you can't figure out what this does, given the degree title, don't go into stuff like this, because with the Department of Education making that list of jobs or careers that are no longer seen as professional, they may come for stuff like this, degrees that have no purpose in our society. What is that? What is that? That's like having a liberal arts degree that is an associate's, and this is like the graduated liberal arts is what it sounds like to me. If you can't figure out what it does by the title, don't go into that stuff. Business analytics. Underwater basket weaving, don't do that. Black studies, don't do that. I mean, you can figure out what it does, but it's not marketable. And one of my cousins, love her, she has that degree. But nobody told her, and she said, like, at the time, nobody told her anything, so she just picked something. All these humanities and stuff that we keep going into, the world is trying to bring back trades. Get on it or get left. Masters in computer science, that's great. Public policy. Doesn't sound like something you need a degree in. This sounds like something you need OJT in, on the job training. Maybe a lawyer or somebody who knows how to pick through policy could do something like this. But it's here. Master of Business Administration, MBA, dime a dozen, but okay. Data science, okay. Pretty soon, they're probably going to have degrees for AI. Why would you get that when you can get certifications right now, credentials in it right now. See how my eyebrows are going up at you now. Also, utilize AI. ChatGPT should have 3 hours of usage. Give it a project. Come up with something and give it a project and work to completion. Do something. Or just sit there, man. I can't stand that victim mentality where, oh, woe is me and everything. Look at this. Median salary for people who have this. And look, 64,000 and a half job openings for people who have this as a data analyst. 75% of certificate grads report career improvement. Look, folks, I just showed you something. The Blacksmith podcast. And look, here's some of the people they work for. Now, you may not know any of these. Petrobras. My word. Petrobras? This is not an X-rated show, folks. Tatas? What is this? Dan 1? I don't know what this is. Cap Gemini? Probably not the same as Gemini because that would be Google. But you do know who L'Oreal is. You do know L'Oreal. And you should know P&G. What is P&G? Procter and Gamble. You may have heard of it. You may have seen some of their products. This really is a holding company, right? This is a manufacturer, but they have tons and tons of products under their umbrella. Arm & Hammer is one of them. I can't remember the angle of the... Tide is another one. You've heard of Tide. They make a ton of stuff. Bounty, Brawny, paper towel. They have that. Look up Procter & Gamble. They have a lot of stuff. So if you are a startup and you come out with a product, let's say it's a facial scrubber for men's beards or something, and it gets big enough, Procter & Gamble will come to you and try to acquire or buy your company. They may buy it from you and remove your ownership for $10 million. You could tell them no, but what they'll do is they'll have other companies go and copy what you did and then put you out of business because they have the money to do it. Or they'll come to you and say, hey, we want to acquire your company to be under our umbrella. We'll get 50% ownership or 30% ownership. You stay on as the CEO of that company and run that company, but for us. That's another way to do it. And they may pay you $2 million, $3 million a year to do it. That is another thing that happens. So don't just think they have to own your company. And I saw an interesting video about this actually yesterday because these are the things I watch when you're It's Giving podcast and it's men versus women, tonight's conversation and all that pop the balloon and all that stupid crap. That's what, if the glass is already, this is already filled. Okay, I drank some. But before I drank some, this was already filled with protein shake. Is there any room for water? No. So when you try and put water, it's going to spill out of the top. If your cup is already full, i.e. your brain is already full of nonsense, you don't have room for the stuff we're talking about. And if you've watched this long into the YouTube video, God bless you. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this week's video. I'm going to stop the recording and upload this, but I'm gonna keep the Discord rolling. But for everybody else, Forrest going cold, and I will see you next week.